Not sure what this is playing. We will quit. Quit. Hey, trying to figure out why you're hearing that. Sounds good. Oh, interesting. All right. Hey, y'all. How's it going? Can you hear me okay? Hello. Hey, it's Mike. I gotta get used to watching this screen. Hey, how's it going, guys? Got 4 people in. Hi, y'all. Snowing here in Philly. Okay, so if you hey, this is Mike, and welcome to the live stream. I guess this is the Defense Mechanism podcast. Charles is out and about. Can you hear me okay? I'll turn this down. Hey, everybody, roll call. Detroit. What's N? To Keisha, we have to know what N means. Welcome. I didn't put this thing on my thing. Okay, perfect. So I'll take this off because I don't need it. It's just me in the building. If if anything changes, just type it in and we'll get going. But hey, it's Mike. Welcome to the Defense Mechanism podcast. That's what we call it when Charles is not on. Charles has reserved the name Talking Black for when he's on the line for the podcast. And so if you read the description, you'll see Ayanna Gregory. She just texted me about a half hour ago. She's not able to call in. She's going to be performing tomorrow in Atlanta. And specifically, before we go, and to Keisha from New York. Is it snowing in New York? It's snowing. We got at least 6 inches today in Philly. And when it snows like that, I get a little cabin fever, and I say, hey, maybe it's time for me to do a good deed, get right with God. Sometimes you got to give back, give some money to the homeless, or just, it's part of my gratitude journal. What am I grateful for? I said, well, let me go out. It's snowing, it's getting dark. Let me go help an old person across the street, an old lady across the street, because that's what I used to do when I was younger. And so it's getting dark. There's nothing but old men on the corner, Broad and Allegheny. And then finally I see, and I forget how old I am sometimes. I see this old lady, and she's hobbling across, trying to get across the street. I walk up to her and I grab her by the elbow. I try to help her across the street. She turns. It's somebody I went to high school with. I said, Yvonne, oh my God, I didn't expect to see her. I thought, and she just was broken down. And it made me think twice about myself. And then she looked at me, she said, Mike, you've always been an asshole, and screw you. I can get across the street and stop trying to cop a feel. You try to cop a feel on me when I was in high school. I'm not letting you do it today. So much for being a good deeds person. Thought I'd share that story. This was the first snowstorm of this winter. It's the first time we had snow, and usually when it snows, it's like little flurries. The first couple times he says, hey, it's snowing, it's like a little flurries. This was some serious wet stuff, and it turned into rain, and if it freezes, it's gonna be very difficult to get off the car. So it's not a fun winter event, but it kind of kept the phone from ringing. So that part of it's good. People get preoccupied with their own stuff when it's snowing. They don't expect you to do anything or be anywhere. So I've been just in the house chilling for the most part, uploading videos for you guys, and trying to read a book. I was just joking to Anthony. It was my story for the day. The joke was on me. I'm as old as the old ladies I try to help across the street now. So I could paint a better picture for you better next time. Maybe it'll turn up in the script and it'll be like a clearer image for you. Sorry, I'm in New York. Cincinnati. Where else? It's horrible in New York. Well, what borough are you in, though? I mean, it gets the further out you are, the worse, the worse it is. If you're like in Manhattan or whatever, I would think it's just pretty wet. But Texas, I'll be in Texas in January for the Denton Film Festival, Archangel. So if you're anywhere near Dallas or Denton, I'll be there trying to get Charles healthy enough to come out with me. But we're committed to being in Denton, Texas. They're starting a symposium in addition to the Denton Black Film Festival. So if you have any friends, please let them know. Cold, rainy weather. Yeah, I hope it doesn't go too long. But yeah, let me get this in before it gets too late because people tune in and tune out. I noticed. Thank you all for watching. Really having fun doing these live streams. Again, for those just tuning in, Ayanna Gregory is not able to call in live with us this Thursday. Next Thursday, of course, is Thanksgiving. But the whole point was to let more people know about the event that she is doing with Ayanna Van Zant, which is a tribute to Lillian Gregory, Dick Gregory's wife of, I think it was 57 years, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just trying to pull it up on my phone. The actual details are on my Instagram, all the links, and I think it's a tribute to Lillian. So I type Gregory eventbrite.com if you want to click over and see what I'm about to read. But basically, see if I can show this without giving anything away. I mean, okay, yeah, there's nothing personal on there. So that's the flyer. If I can get that right. And not sure why it's backwards, but it is what it is. So it's a benefit tribute to Lillian Gregory, and it's going to be happening on Monday, November 26th, 2018 at 7 p.m. Unforgettable Evening of Black Woman Magic, a benefit tribute to Lillian Gregory, matriarch, freedom fighter, and wife of the legendary Dick Gregory. Join us as we honor the mothers of the civil rights movement with special guest Ayanna Van Zant, and featuring musical performances, speakers, and video tributes. So Ayanna, Dick Gregory's daughter, is going to be performing, and tickets start at $60 for general admission and $100 for premium seats. And if you're not in Silver Spring, Maryland on Monday, November 26th, you can also help the cause. You know, as we know, there's a Dick Gregory Foundation, Lillian Gregory Foundation. All the money goes to support that. And you make just straight donations via, over the internet through that same link that I just typed there, that tribute to Lillian Gregory .eventbrite.com. All net proceeds will benefit Lillian Gregory for her lifetime of service. So, I'm buying a ticket or two, and I encourage you to do as well. And we'll be talking more and more about that as we get closer. We did, this channel wouldn't be what it is now if not for Baba Dick. So, have I seen the Glass movie trailer? No, I try to stay away from trailers. I try to go in as blind as possible. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's bad. Sometimes I'll go see a movie having not seen the trailer, and it'll take me forever to figure out what's going on. But more often than not, if I see a movie after seeing the trailer, then I'm real impatient because I already know what's going to happen. So, because most trailers give the whole movie away, so I try to avoid all that information. But I know, Night Shyamalan shot it here, and it looks. I'm excited about it. I'm excited for him. It seems like, after the previous one, he's back on track in terms of making money for Hollywood and being able to tell the stories he wants to tell. So I'm good about that. Is that something you want to see? Glass? Does that look good? No, Charles. He was out all day, and he said he wasn't going to be up to participating tonight. So we're gonna go short and sweet. But so before I get to the Widows review, I did see Widows, and I think I saw a couple other movies this week. I have to go back in my brain. What did I see that I can talk about? Basically, because a lot of stuff. Oh, Green Book also is coming out. I think I can talk about that now as well. Oh no, Green Book is another week. I don't. I think it's not. It's still under embargo. I like Green Book, but I'll give a full review later on that one. But yeah. So real quick, what was good this week? I got a chance. To run it. I met Danny Glover again. I run into him from time to time. We worked with the. I worked on Beloved years ago, and I hadn't seen him in decades. And then I ran into him 2 years ago at Sundance. He was at a Q&A for the movie Strong Island, which he was one of the executive producers of. And we took a picture there. So when he was here in Philadelphia on Monday, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to take a picture with him, but I did say hi to him, and he looked great and just as passionate as ever. Screening a movie called Hale County this evening, which is in select theaters now, and it will be on Independent Lens in February, I believe. And I'll type that in for you. Danny Glover. So he's the producer of this movie. And it's a very interesting film. Shot in Alabama. Basically, and I'll post a Q&A when the movie comes on Independent Lens. But basically, it was at Sundance. I met Rommel, the director of it, at Sundance, but didn't get a chance to see the movie. The thing about Sundance is opening weekend tickets are hard. It's hard to get around because it's snowing all the time, and then generally the opening weekend, most of the movies are sold out. So I didn't get a chance to see it there, but I was excited to see it here, and it was very good. It's an experimental film. It's a documentary, primarily visual. Rommel, he spent, I think, 5 or 6 years in Alabama where he was teaching, filming local people that were his friends, but in a very specific artistic way about their ordinary events and occurrences in their life, and then weaving small bits of story in to help us stay along, just in terms of like how life works, and different things that happen. So, the antidote to reality TV is what I would call it. But, very artistic, very beautiful, and very interesting to hear people's comments afterwards, because it's clearly something that, doesn't really make the commercial space very often. There aren't very many, basically, I guess I wouldn't say tone poems, but almost a non-narrative documentary where the visuals are more important, and you're kind of put in a mood to contemplate. And it works well for this movie because it's set in the South, and there's a lot of things where time is passing, and then occasionally he'll pop up titles asking, like, just asking to reflect on certain ideas or different things that he may have been trying to establish in terms of constructing the how do you frame how do you frame a face, and then you'll start to pay more attention to how he chooses to frame a certain story as certain events happen. So it's a very interesting film, and I think in due time it's destined to be a classic, in a sense, something that we will look back at, and hopefully people will discover it now. Hale County. But I'll get to Green Book in a second. So not for all tastes, but because our tastes are kind of conditioned a certain way. So it's a very challenging film, and I was very happy to see it on a big screen. I don't know if I would have sat through the entire thing if in my own space, but it's great that we have filmmakers making movies to be shared in a communal space. And it was great that Mr. Glover opened the room up for people to reflect on their own existences, their relationship to the South, and just different conversations that you have as you're watching a movie where stories aren't just being pounded at you. So what was great about it was I got to see him again. I met Danny I work on Beloved, and this is the Beloved book. And I was freaking out. I must have 2 copies of this because the other copy I had, Kimberly Elise had signed, but this one, and I gave a copy away, so I don't know what happened, but somehow I'm just praying that I didn't give away my signed copy from Kimberly Elise, and nobody bothered to tell me, hey, it's inscribed to you. I don't know if I should have this book, but it's a beautiful book if you like the movie. It's called Journey to Beloved. And so Danny, he's a trickster in every sense of words. So he likes to bust chops, but he was very gracious. At least I think he signed this thing somewhere. And I'm flipping, and oh, this is the house they built. This was all built from the ground up in Elkton, Maryland. And what was interesting, actually, the connection, I'll bring it back around to Green Book. Tim Galvin was the art director. Christy Zia was the production designer on Beloved. And Tim lives in Philly to this day. And he production designed Green Book, which is the Mahershala Ali movie that comes out next week or Thanksgiving. So anyway, so that's a nice... I can't even see it anymore. Is that cool or what? Is my job hiring? I have well, it's interesting. I wish I got paid more, but I enjoy what I do, and I'm at a point now where I can look back and say it was a good journey to sort of stand your ground and maintain some integrity and do it, just be insistent on your way. So it actually resonated really strongly for me listening to the James Baldwin struggle of the artist. I had heard parts of it, I think, in the I'm Not Your Negro or some documentary. I was familiar with it, but I hadn't heard the whole thing. And then I put it up today, and people were commenting, and so I listened to it. I was like, wow, this is really very truthful. So in terms of discovering that you're an artist and transforming your pain into catharsis that can help others or heal others, that's the job, really. And then what I like to do is, I've always liked to do is share. And there's some in the basement. It's weird. I gotta find it. I know I kept it, but it was like 10 or 11 on my birthday. I wrote down a whole list of qualities that I wanted to maintain in my life, and I think I've held pretty good. Other than the woman saying I tried to cop a feel when I was in high school, I can't help across the street. Other than that, stuff like that, I think I've stayed pretty close to my word. Hey, John McHenry, we're doing a roll call. So if you haven't told us where you're watching from, please let us know. And then this is, I probably should have kept this for myself, but I got that for Charles. And this is the reason I say I should have got it, kept it for myself. This is the Places in the Heart. There's Danny Glover right there. Should have had him right on the book. I didn't even notice he's on the book. But a very quick exchange. It was like, like stay outside the baseball game. It wasn't like a big moment or anything. But yeah, but that's a limited edition Blu-ray. So when hopefully I can replace it for myself. Otherwise I'll be mad that I gave it away. But that's just me. Yeah, we're having a good time tonight. How are you guys making out? It's snowing on the East Coast, and so Campfire Tales, about to review Widows. I'll tell one more story, but now's a good time. to let me know how you're feeling, because I am literally out of breath. Oakland. Okay, so it's still early in Oakland. It's like 8:30 in Oakland. I want to get out to Oakland before the end of next year. Got some unfinished business with Bobby Seale. Hopefully, we can make that happen quickly in some way. And then, I owe the Bay Area a visit. I love the Bay Area. Detroit. Is that you? Is that you twice, or we got two people from Detroit? Humble introvert from Detroit, and Kendra Moyer from Detroit, holding things up. Did you guys see? I interviewed the guys. Kin, that was shot in Detroit. Kin. Oh, you saw it? You saw Kin? I like Kin. My only issue, and we addressed it in the interview I did with the Baker twins, is that in translating it to feature film, they made him adopted. And I've seen that a lot. I just saw another movie with Tessa Thompson at the film festival, where she is a Black girl and her sister's white, and she gets into like the Oxycontin drug trade, like bringing drugs in from Canada because her mother is dying of cancer or something. And then she gets in trouble with the law or whatever. And they could have just left it at that, but they have to take a little extra minute in both movies to explain that the people are adopted. And I'm just progressive minded, where it's like, look, if you're going to cast it that way, don't even bring up the relationship beyond the fact that they're brother and sister, or sister and sister. Leave it to the audience to make that little piece of information make sense to them. But in a way, when you say you're adopted, in some way it indicates that you're less than, to me, in his, narratively less than. And then, maybe you can use it to justify their need to compensate as a character, but at the same time, it doesn't really help the audience, who is already trying to find their place within the story, to point that out. So it just bothered me. But Ken otherwise was good. Yeah, this is definitely a trope. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm over explaining it. It's a trope. Yeah, make the Black people, but it affected me. I'm still scarred from Arnold and Willis, trust me, and Webster and all that other BS, and then to see it regurgitated. Down with the tropes. Another trope, before I get into Widows, and I'll jump into soon. Ohio is where Widows was shot. Where it was shot in it's set in Chicago, Illinois. I was just in Chicago. It's kind of fun. So they're starting to send Academy screeners to me. I'm in the Philly Film Critics Circle, right? So it was kind of interesting. The first one they sent was Isle of Dogs, and there's like a little soundtrack CD in here, So this is like stuff they send you to get you to review it, or in my case, being in the Film Critics Circle, to vote for it as best film of the year. Last year was great because they had a book for Get Out, but this is literally the screenplay, Wes Anderson's screenplay for Isle of Dogs, published, and it's got a barcode. So I imagine if you're a Wes Anderson fan, you would like it. I think a picture book would be equally cool. I'm sure there must be one. Mafia 3. People keep saying that stuff. I maybe jokey. Maybe we need a video game critic. People, you may have been the one that said last time, I don't play video games. I can't. My coordination's bad, and I think I played 2 games in my adult life when they added the extra controller. Because I'm used to this, and then they got all the buttons and stuff. Nintendo was easy because it's basically a joystick. But when they started putting the side buttons and all that, I sucked at football in real life. I didn't need to suck on a video game. And then I played Call of Duty. That scared me to death. So I don't even want to deal with other stuff. I literally walked away from Call of Duty with PTSD, so I don't really need to be on some video games right now. I trust you. I trust. Go play Mafia 3. I trust you. It's just not my thing. I'm trying to read more. But anyway, Isle of Dogs, interesting film. Wes Anderson movie. I've been a fan of Wes Anderson for a long time, since Bottle Rocket. Bottle Rocket is a really fun movie because he did it in Austin, Texas for $0. He hired all of his friends, and then when they had the opportunity, sort of like a Napoleon Dynamite thing, where after it blew up, he kept his friends in the game, and all the people that were in that movie went on to have big careers. The blonde-haired guy from Wedding Crashers, Owen Anderson's, the two Anderson brothers, and no, not Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson. They were both involved with Wes Anderson, and then he continues to hire the same people over and over, and has made some of the most Caucasian films ever. Like, I don't know how. I think Danny Glover might have been in one of them, but primarily he's invested in telling very interesting stories about his worldview, and heavily inspired by the work of other people you consider auteur filmmakers. So he holds a place very unique in American film, where he kind of gets to do whatever he wants to do, and he's very insistent about it, and he's very specific in terms of his details about getting what he wants on screen, and he gets a lot of really good actors to work with him. So the George Clooney's of the world and the Bill Murray's of the world, they all have him down. So absolutely seen Training Day, of course. So Isle of Dogs is an interesting one. Of course, I went in with my own mind, and I saw, if you say tropes, technology in it. I couldn't enjoy it the first time I saw it because I said, "Oh, this is so Caucasian." Oh, even though he's doing an anime style stop motion kind of animation about a little Japanese boy who's trying to get his dog back after the tyrannical dictator of Japan has basically made quarantine all the dogs to an island, and no one's complained. It's very, very tyrannical, almost predicting Trump, because you can't make these animations in a day. But so the kid goes and finds things, and there's different allegories you can take from it. The one that bothered me most was, if you can see on the box, this dog here, this black dog. I'm gonna give you a spoiler. Is the sort of all the dogs come from like privileged backgrounds and are not used to being in the wild, but the black dog has always lived on the street. He's like an urchin, and he's the one that kind of fights for people, teaches them to survive. But he's also, at the beginning, he's away from the group. But the trick in it is when the little boy finally shows him some love and gives the dog a bath, all the black washes off the dog, and it turns out that the dog actually is white and related to some royalty. So I don't know what the fuck that meant, but it kind of ruined my night. Thank you, Wes Anderson. But you reinforced your own worldview there. But I'm happy to see as I watch it again. This is some bullshit. The black dog gets washed and turns out it's a white dog. Thank you. Anyway, it's annoying. It's so, well, how do you break the cycle if all these you can argue that it's a reversal in the plot, but the coding is all in the language, in terms of black and white, and maybe how we choose to identify ourselves. I don't know what the solution is, but I'm just prayerful that Black filmmakers. I don't know if they exist. I don't know. I don't know if they exist. I want to see Black filmmakers that have enough entitlement where either we're borrowing from pre-existing art that other Black people have created, and we have the freedom to do so. You know, the closest thing to that I think I would have loved to have seen in a perfect world, Cosmic Slop on HBO, if it had turned into a series, or even if Reggie Hudlin was given the opportunity to make the Funkadelic movie back in the day, that would have been a stride towards something that I'm thinking of. But you know, the box that Black filmmaking seems to be in, it's too much of a reflection of a reality that troubles me, you know, and it seems that every film is there either to justify or reinforce certain things. So, and then the ones that try to break the cycle, they come off as too good. So, you know, like a Great Debaters or something, like people don't want to take their medicine, so they'd rather see Training Day, or maybe the system would rather reward a Training Day over, you know, an Aquila and the Bee or a Great Debaters or something. So as a result, because it's all about money, we tend, it reinforces that we get to see the same things over and over as opposed to breaking free of it. But I would just love to see Black talent that is not only as informed about world film making and world culture, and then can bring it back to us in terms of the stories that we get to see, but also is allowed through the system to be able to make a body of work over time the way Wes Anderson has. Because as much as I don't necessarily identify or relate to everything that Wes Anderson does, I can't deny that he's got a lot of talent. I can't deny Woody Allen, the same kind of thing. P.T. Anderson. I mean, these are all people that started independent and found a place within the studio system to basically be able to make whatever they want. I mean, the biggest travesty of it last year, Downsizing with Matt Damon, you know, the guy, I'm like, how the hell did that shit get made? But somebody went into a room and convinced someone that, you know, based on this person's track record and their level of artistry, that they could pull off this crap Downsizing. It had a little something to say, but I can't say it's a movie that necessarily needed to get made. But he got a big budget. He got Matt Damon to be in it, and you know, it exists. So we need more of that. Jordan Peele is Black. He is not biracial. Jordan Peele is Black. But he's married to a white woman, so his kids will be biracial. The dog was in Black as a just getting it. No, the dog was a street urchin and was conditioned to the world to be rough and gruff, and he felt like he was an outsider. And I don't know if he had any kind of existential, is it because I'm Black? But he was just conditioned to the streets, and he thought all the other dogs were soft because they didn't know about life. And then when somebody took the care to show some humanity to him and love him and use his last bar of soap to give the dog a bath, a very touching moment, it turns out the dog happened to be white, and his bloodline was full of privilege, you know. So that was the bullshit. But you know, good enough movie. It's just, you know, do we have movies that even to this day that you can consciously show your kids, and where you don't have to explain something, or it doesn't hit them subconsciously in a way where like different strokes hit me. Quilombo, Sankofa, we have a whole series of interviews with Haile Garima, you know, so Sankofa is the shit. I mean, you know, more people should see Sankofa. It's just unfortunate It's unavailable right now to the masses. Highly owns the rights to his film, and he's yet to release it. For like a split second, you could get Ashes and Embers by Haile Garima on Netflix. That's the widest distribution any of his films have ever had. They're very, very rare gems, difficult properties to find. And but Sankofa was the most successful of all his films commercially, and it's definitely among, I'd say, all his films are great for different reasons, but Sankofa is probably the movie, and Quilombo. Those are two movies that deal with slave rebellion. So very few movies deal with actual slave rebellion. I think we did a little research on it. I think Sankofa may be the only movie about slave rebellion that takes place in the United States. Because if you talk about the other films, Quilombo and the movie, help me, Charles, Lydia Bailey, they all take place outside the United States. And Charles makes a big point that primarily when you talk about slave rebellion, it's either conformed to another genre. So you may see it in a Western film, that type of rebellious spirit, or it takes place outside the United States, like in Haiti or someplace in South America. Burn with Marlon Brando is another one that's equally excellent if you want to see those types of things. And then Tamango would be the last one I can imagine. Drum somewhat. I haven't seen Drum in a while. I don't know if that centers around a rebellion, but so if you don't deal with that, you have Drum, Burn, Lydia Bailey, Sankofa, Quilombo. Quilombo is excellent because it like Kendra saying, it's set in Brazil, and there's a whole mystique to it. It's not just they use the magic realism, the sort of things that we consider superstition as a tool in terms of how they get their power to overthrow. And then also, if you haven't seen it, we had Tariq Nasheed on the radio show, his documentary about Haiti, 1792, I think it is, or 1753, whatever. Tariq Nasheed's movie about Haiti is very strong because it gives you a lot of information. And from what I can tell, so there's no conjecture. So like some of the Hidden Figures movies, they veer off from their main points in terms of being factual sometimes. So I like Hidden Figures movies, but they're not. You kind of have to cross-reference the information there. The Haitian documentary is a little better research. Dr. Looney, I'm going to ignore you. We talked about Blind Side. This is basic stuff. Blind Side and Precious and all that stuff. That's old hat. I've been doing this 30 years, man. I've seen all this stuff. Yeah, Hailey's great. I have some B-side. Hailey likes to hold court. I have some footage somewhere of him just holding court. He will tell you stuff. And then also his Black Stars lecture, it's on YouTube somewhere. It's really good. He's he's influenced so many people in so many ways. It's not funny. He's legendary. He deserves more. And I'm prayerful that somebody's looking out for him. Going to give him kind of a big check so he can make another film for us, or get some more movies out that he's been working on. Okay, so any final things before I jump into WIDOWS? Huh? No, I'm not. Look, Looney Tune, we're it's all love. I'm just saying. Hit me like Quilombo is a good one to hit me with because it's actually making me think. But Blindside, that's just Hollywood you know, sometimes it's about empowering women more than it is empowering black men. So she got the Oscar for it. It was a story that somebody wanted to tell. But I think when we get into our review of Green Book next week, what I like about Green Book is it's the same kind of story we've seen before, but it provides a certain level of agency to both characters. It's not about a savior or somebody that's helping someone. It's really about mutual respect and love. Have I ever walked out of a movie? I wanted to. My friend made me walk out of Human Stain, and then I realized much later that it hit him personally. It wasn't that the movie was bad. It was either he was impatient or it hit him too close to home. And but I don't walk out of movies. I don't go if I'm late for a movie. I won't go see it. Like if I'm running late and I've missed more than the first 3 or 4 minutes of a movie, I will probably not go in. So I probably have avoided more movies I walked out of. But I'd say the only movie, and a few experiences, but the one that immediately comes to mind where I said, it was a Soul Plane, and we gave away free tickets, and and it was so painful for me to deal with that one on so many levels that I actually sent an email the next day. I said, I'm so sorry, even for free, you shouldn't have experienced this. And if and when the technology becomes available for you to have memories permanently erased from your brain, I will personally pay for to have the memory of experiencing Soul Plane erased from your brain, because that movie was cringeworthy to me. But generally, I can stick him out. Peace to everyone. Yo, what up, homeboy? Uh, hey, Freddie. Somebody coming in with more energy. It's just, I don't know. There's two sides to everything, So, but there's, people make movies to tell stories or art because they have something to say, and then certain movies get made strictly to make money. Unfortunately, when it comes to stories that reflect us, a lot of times we're completely exploited. And someone who came up in the Hollywood Shuffle era, I'm just more attuned to that level of exploitation. So when I see things like Soul Plane, I'm like, how did this get made? And who turned it down? Didn't anybody have any sense to turn this down? But Godfrey is a good friend, and he said there hadn't been a black film in a long time, and everybody was looking at it as an opportunity. There's so many roles in that movie. Everybody that he knew was trying out for it. It was an opportunity at the time. So I kind of get it, but at the same time, and you look at Soul Plane in retrospect, who wasn't in Soul Plane, who didn't get stuck in that glue trap, and you can say, I guess the karmic sense of it is that the movie got bootlegged before it came out, so it didn't make money in theaters. Everybody who saw it basically saw it for free, and it helped make Kevin Hart a star. And I guess he's helping other people now, creating opportunities for them. And from what I can tell, the behind the scenes talent behind Soul Plane and Who's Your Caddy, they're not really making movies anymore, so it comes out in the wash. But Rosewood, Rosewood's a good movie. I mean, I like, me personally, in general, black film needs to just be, we need, I relate black film to black genius, and you could argue that we're still in the beginning steps of really having a voice to tell our own stories. We had to get to a level of advancement in terms of training and opportunity just to get to where we are now. And generally, when there's 4 or 5 good movies out, you're going to see Black folks at the Oscars. So we're Oscar caliber, but still, for whatever reason, the mindset is that for a movie to have Black actors in it, or for a Black person to direct a film, it has to relate directly to a Black experience. And I'm in this mode now. I'm reading Maurice White's memoir, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and it's just like listening to music of the '70s and questioning, well, how can we get within our film storytelling to the level that Black music got to in the '70s? It's like you got to free your mind more, and I think that's maybe why I like Isle of Dogs, is because this person, Wes Anderson, he developed his talent, his craft to a level where he's tapped into a level of imagination where he's utilizing all components of culture to tell a story that is important to him. And I'm still questioning, is it our lack of imagination, or is it the lack of opportunities that we're providing, or being provided to us, or providing for ourselves, that is keeping us to this point where we always have to reinvestigate and regurgitate the past? And when I walk out on the street and I try to help the old lady across the street, I just see a different audience in a world. And I feel that so many people that could use a good story are just fractioning off into their own realm where it's about immediate satisfaction. And maybe that's why I have problems with video games, because I think that that's a complete visceral thrill, but it doesn't necessarily provide a connection. And I think that we all, in terms of recharging, reorienting ourselves to who we are, we have to see things through other people's eyes, and it just can't be a RPG experience. So that's my dilemma right now. But let's see. Killer Sheep. I Am a Man. I Am a Man. Is that the documentary from the '70s? Which I don't know if I saw. Is that the one by the woman, Madeline Anderson, or is that a different film? I know the title. How hard can it be to develop a story of something? I don't think it's hard. I think people got to eat ultimately. So it doesn't matter how pure your intention is. If you want to, the things that get made are the things that somebody is want to put money behind, that they believe they can get their money back for. And the difference between film and music in the '70s, this is like in the midst of the capitalism, was that a lot of things, it was not just about, it's one of those things, like in the '70s, the money wasn't so big, but there was still a need to release product, right? So until disco hit or something like that, where there's some tons of records, or even when CDs came out, nobody was really thinking about CDs until like NSYNC, and then they said, wow, we can sell 10 million. Is this bullshit? That's when game changes, when people start getting really greedy and everything has to be a home run. But prior to that, you had institutions, record labels, that had belief system where it was about catalog and building quality. So even like a Columbia Records, they weren't signing acts thinking that their first album was gonna go gold or something. That was a bonus if it did. But if you look at any act that attained superstar status in the late '70s and '80s, their first 3 or 4 records were not big hits. So like Hall & Oates, Bruce Springsteen, even when I'm reading Earth, Wind, and Fire, their first records, they were like cult status. They were good enough to get some radio play. They were good enough for people to go see the show. And then maybe 3 or 4 albums in, that's when it magnified. That's when not only you had a big Born in the USA, but you had new fans that could go back and listen to the 3 or 4 albums before and say, oh, I understand this guy's vision. And we don't necessarily get that anymore in terms of popular culture when it's industrialized. So that's the dilemma if you're coming in and you're not, and then also Hollywood burns people up. So, if you don't get a hit, and also people burn themselves up because they get accustomed to the money. So, while people stay working, like a Robert Townsend stays working, he's not getting the same opportunities that he did when Hollywood was footing the bill, So, you may, and the money makes a difference, so the difference between doing a charcoal sketch and doing a full-fledged painting. So, the goal here is, how do we get not only more people to have established bodies of work with that are tangible, like you can look at somebody after 10 or 15 years and say, like, even a Michael Schultz would be your prime example for a Black filmmaker. He's worked in every decade, and consistently worked in Hollywood from the early 70s until the late 80s, and among his work are true classics, Car Wash, Cooley High, Crush Groove, Last Dragon. So how do we get more of those people out there? That's the question. But anyway, I'm not gonna go anti-Semitic. Please, I'm not anti-Semitic. Black Gestapo, I haven't seen it in a long time. I have to go back to it. I own like 2 or 3 copies of Black Gestapo. I just haven't seen it in a long time. Michael Romer, Ivan Dixon. Yeah, you're talking about Nothing But a Man. That's one of my favorite films of all time. Nothing But a Man. And we actually we recorded, I don't know if we recorded an interview with the producer, and then we subsequently showed his movie Sit-In, which is very difficult to find at one of my events, but and his new movie, I'm trying to think of his name, Ballad of Gregorio Cortez, just came out on Blu-ray from Criterion, and a couple of his films are on Criterion. Alan Brista, which is over there somewhere. Anyway, yeah, Black Gestapo. Yeah, Idlewild. Yeah, I definitely speak to Idlewild because it goes. I mean, I rewatched it recently. I mean, I like Paula Patton. There's a lot of things I like in Idlewild. It showed a promise of things. I don't know if it sustains as entertainment, but what it does do, it definitely has a vivid imagination, and it cross-pollinizes a lot of realms of Black culture. But at the end of the day, it resides as a rote typical gangster film, so, but it may be the most hip-hop influenced movie there is, because it does sample from so many different styles and genres, and does take you places. I'm thinking right now the scene where with all the clocks with Andre and different things, very imaginative. And you would of course, they broke up after it, and then Brian, the director, can't think of his last name, Brian Barber, he didn't do another feature. So you get these little moments that pop up, but how do you get them to sustain? That was sort of what Danny Glover was saying about the political movements. You get attention drawn to them, but how do you magnetize it so that it continues? How do we get it so audiences say, yeah, I like that and I want more of that, without it being Xerox to death, Okay, so close to an hour. We're gonna wrap up an hour. So Widows, excellent film, in my opinion. A little bit slow moving, feels very much like a novel, which it's based on. I highly recommend you see it. Viola Davis, she is a wife married to Liam Neeson, and little does she know, this is all in the trailer, little does she know how he makes his money is by committing robberies. And he and his friends, in the very opening scene, they try to pull off a heist, and super exciting chase scene, and they all get killed. So now she owes money to the mob, which is Brian Tyree Williams and guy from Get Out, whose name I can't pronounce. They're like the thugs that need the money. It was stolen from them and it got burned up, and now they want her to replace it. So she recruits the widows of the bank robbers to go steal some money, what was planned as Liam Neeson's next heist, to compensate the thugs and get some macho power on top of it. So it is a definite fantasy film in a sense, but it's also grounded in a great deal of emotional truth and reality, because it has got some great actors in it. Viola Davis and Michelle Rodriguez and Liam Neeson and Colin Farrell, all these great people. And it's directed by Steve McQueen. I believe it's his first movie since 12 Years a Slave. So you get the best of both worlds. Don't take offense, but I have to tell this joke. So the movie, it's about a bank heist. This is going to be a joke, folks. It's about a bank heist, very reminiscent of the movie Heat, but it stars all women. Can we call this movie Bitches and Heat? I tried. Don't, look, I didn't make up the word. Didn't think it was funny? Fair enough. Somebody please type in, I didn't think that was funny or sexist, Mike. I thought, good movie. You should go see Widows. It's very strong. Night and Fog. Depressing ass movie. Night and Fog. Somebody could redo Night and Fog as a black film. That would be very interesting to me. What, if for those who don't know Night and Fog, it's Alan Renee film from, I guess, like 57, 56 or 57. It's like 10 years after World War II. He goes back to a concentration camp and does these slow pans and has this narration talking about this is the physical space where all these Jews were massacred. It'd be very interesting if somebody did a similar treatment at a plantation, and that'd be interesting to me. What? No, past work. It wasn't funny. It was sexist. I'm a horrible human being. But it just came to my mind. I had to say it. I have not been to Africa, so I don't know. I mean, my understanding, El Coyote, my understanding of black films in Africa is two different audiences. It's very much like America. You have filmmakers that are making movies for European audiences and festivals, and then you have people making movies for the common folks of the country, and not necessarily Uganda, but Nigeria. And I saw a great movie, I think Nollywood. I think it was called Nollywood Babylon, where they explain the huge surge in the film industry in Nigeria was the fact that the government sucks, and there's no electricity most of the time, and TV is not reliable. So people still thrive on entertainment, and the technology allowed it so that people could pass along tapes, because the TV couldn't come on. They were literally making shows that could be passed along and traded and sold on first VHS and then DVD. And in the process, a lot of really talented people got practice. So, but it's all done very low budget. So that's my understanding. I've not been. So it's an interesting, it's not a one-to-one thing where you can say, well, black people in Nigeria have this, why can't black Americans create their own system? It's like, it did exist back in the day when you had Maverick Home Video and York Home Video and Xenon Home Video, a lot of straight to video movies, but they didn't necessarily garner the marketplace. And now we see it to a certain extent with web series on YouTube, where you have a lot of entrepreneurial people that are making work. The most successful, folks like the Dormtainment comes to mind, and Issa Rae clearly got her start in web series. I got my start on YouTube and Black and Sexy, but it still requires capital. So if you're going to get to a certain level of production value in art, so that's the question mark. Yeah, well, the interracial relationship, I mean, it'd be interesting when Charles sees Widows. There's a little 3D effect. I mean, clearly, if one of the D's is destruction, Liam Neeson is killed, but I think it's the way it's an interesting approach, because the effort is to make it colorblind. And I suppose Viola, she's done similar things in How to Get Away with Murder in terms of her relationships. They're making her a sexual human being. The scenes, the flashback scenes, they seem very improvised, very, very truthful moments. And but what's interesting is the way the movie is written. The screenplay has a lot of depth to it, and it's not just about moving the plot along, but also getting to the emotional core of surviving loss, how people cope, what this visceral thrill of getting even will mean to each character in a sense. So somebody was talking about Ocean's 13 or whatever it was. I think this is a more thoughtful interpretation of that kind of fantasy, but primarily on the first level, it's just like, hey, let's put women, the novelty of putting women in a situation that we've seen a million times before men do. I think that's the number one level. But the fact that you have such good talent involved in making the film, and they're willing to take their time. The movie is 2 hours and 9 minutes long, to give you some emotional truths as well. It's going to be very interesting. And I think, from what I could tell, talking to some of the people with us watching our members, that I think it does resonate for women to see that type of story. So, and not just Charlie's Angels, where it's just fluff. They literally get into the nuts and bolts of things, and that's part of where you have to suspend your disbelief, because it does take the time to say this isn't just pure fantasy. Like, why are they doing it? What's involved? What's the physical requirements? And then the emotional needs. So I think it's a solid movie. It'll definitely get some actor attention, Oscar time. I would love if the screenplay gets some attention. I'm not much of a predictor on Oscars, but it was a good time at the movies. I think it's worth seeing on the big screen. All right, so that's all I got. Any last things? Everybody, Detroit's still in the building. New York's still in the building. Kendra's still here. A soundtrack that inspired a movie instead of the other way around. That could be Thin. I think movies should stop copying other movies and get back to real storytelling. But if you were to go in that direction, I was just looking at something about Ennio Morricone was going after Tarantino last week in an interview, and somebody brought up the point that a lot of, I think, Sergio Leone or something, like his style, his mode of working in Italy would be to literally give Sergio Leone pieces of music, and then Leone would build scenes around Morricone's music. And in the best cases, there are directors that work that way, where they already know what the song is going to be in a certain scene. But I don't know if an entire film can hold its weight based entirely on music. Then you get into episodic stuff. I would think, in my imagination, like a Tommy, Ken Russell movie or something like that, or worst case scenario, like an Absolute Beginners, where it's, or basically any musical, So I don't know, I think, but on the inverse of that, when I write, I can't really write without having a playlist together, like, because it puts me in a time. One of the first things I do when I sit down to write a script is to build a playlist of music to listen to as I'm working on it, have in the car or play while I'm writing, But right now I'm in research mode, so I'm just reading a lot. Proud Mary, I did a review of that. We did a whole reaction to Proud Mary. You can look back at it. I thought I think Taraji is so ambitious right now, and she's taking advantage of every opportunity. And I think for her, it was a success because she got to produce a movie. And I think what I saw was an actor who had been, waiting for the opportunity to do something just structured for her, basically saying, I would love it if my character did this, this, and this in a movie. And then somebody went out and made a movie where they had this, and this. And then there was no story beyond that. But, so, but then we're in a realm now where, what justifies your time? I appreciate everybody taking an hour to spend with me, but, is it worth your time to see Proud Mary in a theater, or is it designed exactly for what it is? Something that comes on TV, or maybe you have the DVD and you're watching the barbershop and you watch little scenes. I think people's attention spans are so shot that they probably appreciate the 1 or 2 minutes. I think Pulp Fiction was the movie that did it to everybody, where Pulp Fiction, because it was told backwards, you could literally watch it, any piece of it, and it would be cool. And it worked, and it worked for the DVD age. But the downside of it is, I mean, the upside was that was actually a good movie. The downside is everybody that tried to copy it can only borrow those little bits and pieces of it. DVD recommendation. I'll get back to you on that. I just bought. Did I buy a DVD this week? I think I laid off. I don't have anything coming this week. I was gonna get Black Klansman, but I said let me wait. I wasn't a big fan of it in the theater, but Black Klansman is out. If you haven't seen it, red box it. I wouldn't necessarily. I'd rent it first before buying it. It's not for everybody, but it's probably a fun watch at home. Yeah, that's anybody else have recommendations, new DVDs? I mean, I recommended Tales from the Hood. So much stuff. As soon as I buy it, it's on Netflix. I was like so excited to get Tales from the Hood Part 2. And I turn on Netflix and it's there already. I turn on Netflix, Black Panther's there already. Rest in peace, Stanley. So it's not, I don't even know, even at $13, that's a lot of money to pay for something that if you're already paying for it, unless you're a big fan. So, I should say, if you buy DVDs, I think to the end of this month, Barnes and Noble is having their Criterion 50% off sale. So, and Black Friday's coming up. So, everything is going to be discounted coming up. So, but Criterion generally, retails for $40. Usually a single disc you can get for $24 on Amazon. So it's not that big a savings if you don't have the money right now. I wouldn't say jump at Criterion 50% off. However, if you are somebody who wants the box sets, this is the time to get them on the Barnes & Noble website or in person, because they are 50% off as well. So you can get Lone Wolf and Cub box set for half of what it normally goes for, or if you're in the Japanese film, or Kieslowski's Three Colors, or the Before trilogy, you know, the Olympic box set, all that kind of stuff. There's a World Cinema box set, which I had my eye on, but I can't justify Tuki Buki on Blu-ray. But the rest of the movies I couldn't care less about. I think the Korean film and The Housemaid is very good, but you know, those are also kind of movies that, you know, prior Filmstruck had them for free, and you can still watch them for free on Canopy with a K. So if you're a collector like me, that'd be my recommendation to check out the Barnes & Noble. So Night of the Living Dead just came out on Blu-ray on Criterion. Bout of Gregorio Cortez and Raisin in the Sun, which was here before I cleared the table. I don't want to get up, but Raisin in the Sun just came out on Blu-ray from Criterion. So, you know, again, 50% off of 40 is 20. Normally it's 24 on Amazon. It's not a big savings, but if you want to take advantage of it, I would jump on it. Coyote, you got something going. You know, I would say about culture, everybody plays their part, and you know, we only, you know, I wish I could block you. I really dislike any kind of derogatory slang being used. This is hard enough, El Coyote, to do this for free, to share what I know, to bring other people on, to share what they know, to take risk at getting copyright strikes, to put videos and information up for people to share and learn, and then for you to jump in and be hateful towards another culture, another race. It just makes me seem like I'm endorsing it, and I am not. And I don't like that. You can feel however you want, but please do not spread that kind of belief around, because that is not what we're here for. It really is not. Okay, so anyway, yeah, well, but keep doing what you do. I'm gonna stay warm, and I've been posting a lot of you know, videos and things from Charles this past week, but I will get around, since it's slow, to editing some original things and getting them up for you guys. And I really appreciate your time. Yeah, and you know, try and widen your belief system and try and grow. That's all I can say. But thank you all all for sharing with me. And once again, if you missed it, I will post it. But if the tribute to Lillian Gregory is Monday, the 26th. I'm gonna see Creed next Monday. We'll have a review for Thanksgiving. I don't know if I'm gonna be on, obviously, on Thanksgiving night talking, but we'll make it up some way. And Ayanna Gregory, you know, she's going to make a video for us, and we'll share it on the channel. So, all right, thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you, Kendra. Thank you, El Coyote. Yeah, whatever. You know, we love everybody. Justin, Bison for life. Everybody who stuck it out. I hope this was helpful. Peace and love. Have a great night. Thanks for watching.